committee meeting to order, Monday, November 20th. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Hairston.
Here.
Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady is absent at the moment. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Mr. Miller, for being here this morning. Do we have any? Yes.
In case anyone doesn't know, the reason for the council president's absence is he, like several others of us this year, was called into jury duty.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he couldn't skip out on that one. He had to be there.
Sitting over there now.
All right. Well, we wish him all the.
I hope he found parking.
Yeah. So, well, listen, we wish Mr. Brady well in his duty this morning. Do we have any public comment related to the agenda, Madam Clerk?
No, no one has signed in.
All right, thank you. If everyone had a chance to review the minutes that's before them, the chair will accept a motion to approve the minutes from October 2nd meeting.
So moved.
So moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item 5, matters referred to the committee.
Resolution number 2017-0195, awarding a casino revenue fund grant in the amount of $875,000 to the city of Berea for the benefit of the Coeliac redevelopment project in the city of Berea.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Who do we have here this morning presenting? I assume is Mr. Khalil's coming up from staff to talk, and then I see we have Mayor from Berea here and other esteemed guests who are in Councilman Gallagher's district. Mr. Surya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Just wanted to give a very brief introduction to the project. As you all know, the revenue that is derived from the casino is specifically set in our code for economic development, community development, and educational programming. And in this case, there is $875,000 that has been requested to be used for a community development project in collaboration with the city of Berea. This project enhances a municipally owned asset, actually several municipally owned assets that are in close proximity to each other that sort of create a snowballing effect as to the quality of the assets involved and the connection between disparate assets. So this is something that will enhance parking for not only the park and the Coeliac Park and the playground, but also for a larger district in the city of Berea. And this also is follow-on funding for a great deal of investment that has already taken place in the area. As you see in the backup, the phases that have already been completed or worked on are listed, and there are many different projects that are listed up to a total of around $2.8 million already funded through by the city. And this phase coming up includes 3 different projects: the parking lot reconstruction for Coeliac Park, a Greenway Connector between the lake and the library, and an expansion of the playground in the area as well. So, then of course the lighting and amenities at the park itself. So I just wanted to give that brief introduction and introduce Matt Madzey, Mayor Clean, of course, and Tony Armano. And I'm not exactly sure who will be presenting the specifics of the project. Mayor?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Surya.
I'll just give some additional information, and then I'll turn it over to Matt. But I just want to say thank you for taking the time this morning to have us here. You know, I recognize that there's lots of requests that are made to county council people, and we appreciate the consideration. This project is probably unlike any request that you've had before. It's a very unique project. Our Coeliac area is a valuable asset to us. It's a historic area for us. It used to be one of our large quarries in Berea. Most of the buildings here are made out of Berea sandstone, And that sandstone came out of Coal Lake before it was a lake. The sandstone industry died in the 1930s, and the big quarry, as it was called, was turned into Coal Lake over the years, and it's become a valuable asset for us. Now, we hold concerts there in the summer, and it's a very small venue. And over the years, we've looked at this and said, you know, we could make this something bigger that's a real regional attraction. And, you know, being on the edge of the county in a small inner ring suburb, you know, we've lost a lot to our neighbors, especially in Lorain and Medina counties. And, you know, we said we want to draw some people back and create some energy and economic development and community development. And we think Coal Lake would be an asset to do that. And so we started on the process of creating a larger entertainment venue. And Matt will present that. Adjacent to this area is the Cuyahoga County Library. In fact, if you walk out of the library, you're looking at Coal Lake. Many people go to our library and then go over to the lake, and they'll read or you know, watch something on their computer that they picked up from the library, and we'd like to make a greater connection there. We've done many phases here. The next phase is very expensive, as the previous phases were. There's several parts to it, which will be explained to you, and we certainly would appreciate any type of funding that we could get for that. And again, this isn't just a Berea project. We're already lining up entertainment for next year at what we're calling Live at the Lake. And we're bringing in entertainment from not just the state of Ohio, but Indiana and Illinois and Florida. And we really think this is going to be a regional draw and a very unique and beautiful entertainment venue for Berea and Cuyahoga County in the region. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and he has a brief presentation that will kind of fill in some of the blanks here. You'll see what we're talking about.
Great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Matt Madzi. I'm the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Development for the City of Berea. This project has been very long and a long process for us, but it's been enjoyable because it actually touches on each of the three things that I work on: planning, engineering, and development. I just wanted to initially get you acclimated with the location. So as you'll see in the picture, this is a map of the entire county, a satellite image. The mouse is over downtown Cleveland, where we're at now, and then out here in the southwest is this pin, yellow pin. That's where Coal Lake Park is located. So just to get your bearings, to the south of this runs the Ohio Turnpike, to the north of this runs 480, and to the north-south runs 71. So we're kind of in the middle of those three freeways. Zooming in a little bit closer to the city of Berea, you'll notice the Cleveland Hopkins Airport is here to the north, Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, and then here is Coal Lake Park. Also in this area, we'll be zooming in a little bit closer. You'll see Baldwin Wallace University is adjoining the area as well. And then finally, here's our location. So as the mayor had stated, this is Coal Lake. This had previously been a quarry by Cleveland Stone Quarries. It was known as the Big Quarry. So once quarrying ceased and sandstone was removed from the area, it was backfilled over the years as a lake. And initially, it was a lake that didn't get much usage. It had grown up around and not used very much. In the earlier part of the 2000s, the city worked with the school district in the area here to the east side of the lake, or to the right of the picture where the mouse is at, and developed actually a path, outdoor living classroom, and they partnered with the school district on that. So students come in, and they're actually, the elementary school students are taught by students from the high school, and they walk through this area and they look in indigenous species of plants and how the ecosystem works over there. So we developed that in conjunction with the school district, and then we moved to the west side of Coal Lake, which is where the mouse is at now. And we attempted to try to capitalize on the location of the Berea Pool that had been installed in the 1950s. And previously, there had been some other amenities over here, so we'll review. So the pool is located in this area, amphitheater, gazebo here. But up over here, you're going to see is the Berea branch of the Cuyahoga County Community Library. And next to that is Berea City Hall. It's Berea City Hall, but it's also the Berea Police Station and the Berea Municipal Court. So there's actually a lot of civic functions go on in this area. And you'll see that's kind of isolated between the Coal Lake the pool, and we have a playground over here, and the municipal campus is isolated because of this parking lot. So frequently in the summertime and even throughout the wintertime, you'll see families and you'll see people that are trying to traverse through that parking lot to get to the different amenities. Concerns about safety and concerns about easing that egress for them. This picture is actually a picture of what is inside Coe Lake when they were finishing up the quarrying. So you can see the quarrying operations and how deep that was. So the lake is a very deep lake, man-made lake. This is how our specific site for Coe Lake Park looked in 2012. So where the mouse is at here, it's actually a gazebo that was built in the 90s, the first amenity that was installed. To the left of that here, where the mouse is at now, there's a pavilion. The issue we had with that pavilion is actually within an area that sometimes was flooded out. And so the pavilion was actually removed, and we moved it to a baseball field that we have. And we built a new pavilion, which we'll review in a second. You'll see the pool, a shed that was here for the pool. And over here in this area, that's a brown area, it was a playground, Mucklow Playground. At the time, it was an outdated playground that had some safety concerns with regard to the play equipment and the surface that was there. It was just a mulch bed. Fast forward to earlier this spring in 2017, you'll see the gazebo is still here, so that's your place marker, but all this area has been opened up, and we'll see some additional photographs. That's actually where our amphitheater is being installed. And we took the pavilion that was here and we moved it to higher ground here, and we thought we moved it to an area that has better connection to the pool here, so you can actually go from the pavilion into the pool area. And then over here is our new playground. We've actually removed the mulch, put down a turf play surface, and installed new playground equipment for the kids. And I can tell you that this playground is used all the time. The only issue we have with it is it's not big enough. There are so many people that come and use this playground. So we have a short video here. So this is Coe Lake that's here, a boardwalk that was installed in the 90s by the city. You can kind of see on the side there where the walking path is at. And then it turns over to the amphitheater that was installed throughout this year, the pavilion that was installed last year, the gazebo, and you can see the proximity to the Berea pool. This area that's in the middle here that's brown will be reinstalled with grass as an outdoor seating area. So there's the pavilion that was built last year in an earlier phase. Proximity to the pool, and here's the playground, and you can see there's some kids playing in the playground now. To the left side of the screen, there's a building there, a one-story building. We actually received some funding from the county earlier this year for the demo grant for demolition of that building. That's where we're proposing the expansion of the playground. A nice still shot of the amphitheater, the entire park area. So just to give you some perspective of where we're at. This is the playground that we had talked about. So previously this had been some outdated play structures that was questionable whether it was safe, mulch play bed. So this was removed. We installed a turf bed. We installed some new equipment. It's frequently used by kids all the time because it's proximity to the library, the park, the pool, and it gets a lot of heavy use. As I mentioned, the only issue that we have is that it's probably not big enough because kids are there all the time. This actually is the most popular item in there. That's called a Comet number 2, and it's a sphere that's actually office access. And so as the kids gets on and they pull their weight back, they can go in circles. And there are days in the summertime where I arrive at work and kids are on that Comet. I leave to go to lunch, kids are on the Comet. I come back from lunch, they're still there, and I leave at work at the end of the day, and the kids are there throughout the entire day. And so much so that if you can see the back row of cars, there's a black car there. That's my car. So the kids are there all the time. That is the one-story building in which we had mentioned before that we'd received some funding from the demo grant to demo that building. So our plan would be to expand the playground. This is immediately adjacent to the playground, is to expand the playground into this area. You can't see it, but across the street that's behind there's a trailhead that goes into the metro parks as well. So that piece will connect the pool, the amphitheater, the pool, the playground, and then into the metro park. So it's one long connected piece, and then our piece will then connect back into the library and the municipal campus. So Tony Armagno, our city engineer, is here, and he's going to do a little bit more of the details about the first phase that we've done with the pavilion, the second phase with the amphitheater, and the proposed future phases. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. As Matt mentioned, my name is Tony Armagno. I'm the city engineer with the city of Berea. Get into a little bit more details about some of the features. One of the main features of the new Coeliac Amphitheater is this one-of-a-kind pavilion that was built last year. It includes real sandstone columns and an elevated deck that overlooks the lake. You can see there on the left side. It also includes the capacity. It's a little over 4,000 square feet of usable space with 2,000 square feet under roof, so it can hold events of up to 250 people at a time. It also is fully equipped with lighting, ceiling fans, and also power that would be needed for any size event that could be there. You can see here an event that took place last year. Besides being open to the public each day, it'll also be available to rent on nights and weekends. We've already had a huge demand for that, for events like weddings, graduation and birthday parties, and also fundraisers. This is a view of the Coeliac Amphitheater area as it looks today. Construction on the second phase is finishing up at the end of this year. You can see one of the only things left is to get grass to grow on the site. This is truly a one-of-a-kind multi-use facility. We have already started planning our concert events, as the mayor mentioned, which will be called Live at the Lake. Those concerts will be able to hold between 1,500 and 2,000 people. So with the capacity that size, we can draw larger local and national bands. It provides a lot of functionality and a lot of options for the stage. We built the site so we can place the stage in multiple locations. We can either place it by the lake for larger events, or for more intimate events such as plays, it can be placed at the bottom of the amphitheater so that the visitors and spectators can be a lot closer to the stage area. Here's a view at the front entrance to the amphitheater. It may be difficult to see, but we've included decorative lighting throughout the site, and the site's also fully equipped with power and audio video to handle any of the larger events that are going to take place. There's also extensive landscape improvements that were included with 15 new trees and hundreds of plants and flowers to help beautify the area. This is a view of the amphitheater seating. You can see it's made out of large sandstone blocks that have a pretty interesting story behind them. These sandstone blocks were originally quarried from the lake, or from what is now Coelake at the quarry there. Over 100 years ago, they were cut from that quarry and they were installed on a county-owned railroad bridge, which is at the intersection of Sheldon and Eastland. In about 10 years ago, in 2007, the county engineer's office replaced that bridge, and the city retained the rights to all of those blocks since they originally came from Coelake. So over the last 10 years, we've had them stockpiled, waiting for this project to take place. And this year they were brought back to their original home. So pretty neat story of how they've traveled throughout the county. So our last improvement that's needed to kind of tie everything together, as was mentioned earlier, is the improvements to the parking lot. This parking lot not only services the amenities of Coelake, but also the county library, Berea City Hall, Berea Police Station, the Berea Municipal Court. Also to the north of the site, there is a nursing home, Berea Lake Towers, and the downtown Berea businesses. So the parking lot services a lot of different needs, and we're excited to be able to complete it for the site. What I'm showing you here is a proposed layout for the improvements at the parking lot. I apologize if it's difficult to see. It's kind of small, but wanted to show all of the different amenities that it's surrounding. Besides resurfacing the lot, one of our main goals is to provide better access and connectivity between all the different amenities, as the mayor mentioned earlier. So I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in. Yes. Right here, what you're seeing is the county library on the left side of the screen and the lake and the park area on the right side. So our plan is to build a lake to library Greenway Connector. So it'll be a dedicated east-west access from the library and city hall area over to the park. It'll include decorative pavements. It'll include many trees that will create a canopy over the walkway. And also provide better ADA access between the one area of the parking lot to another. With the new layout, we'll have much better traffic flow and a safer for pedestrians using it. Right now, currently, you're required to walk through the parking lot without any dedicated walkway. So the new layout will provide much safer and also have ADA, meet all the ADA requirements as far as parking spaces and access. This is the same view as you saw earlier, except the trees are shaded a little better to show the massing of the landscape improvements. So you may have already had this included in your legislation packet, but this is the summary of work that's been completed so far. As was mentioned, we've already spent over $2.8 million. Some of the details here are the parking lot improvements. We've already spent $175,000 on the first phase, but that's only completed 25%. We did some projects, pre-phase projects before we started the amphitheater. We added more trees on the peninsula to the south of the amphitheater, and we also relocated the old pavilion, which Matt mentioned earlier, to a baseball field at a different location in the city. We did the playground improvements. We spent $115,000 so far, and the rest of the work makes up the Coeliac Amphitheater, which is almost a little over $2 million. And then this last slide here is a summary of the improvements that are needed still. This makes up the $875,000 request for funding. So we'll need $575,000 to complete the parking lot and the Greenway Connector, $175,000 to complete the playground and also the open space park, and then $125,000 for finishing up the amenities at Coeliac, which includes a new boat dock with access to the lake, more lighting improvements, and then also tables, benches, and waste receptacles for all the users of the park. Appreciate the opportunity to present this to you today and open it up for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Tony, Matt, and Mayor. Do we have any questions from our committee members? Ms. Simon.
Thank you. Thanks for presenting. It's a beautiful lake that you were able to get out of that quarry. South Euclid has a quarry too, a quarry park, where we also competed to supply, I guess, the stones. But so the library, is that a new library that was built? That's an old Cuyahoga County Library. Is there any threat of them moving this library like they've done in other parts of the county, if you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I met with a couple of the library officials about 2 years ago, and they have no desire to build a new one at that location. And currently, they're actually doing major renovations to it.
Okay, so it looks like they're going to stay.
It looks like they're going to be there for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they offered to help with any of your project expansion or costs to improve their parking lot that they use, or your parking lot that they use?
Yeah, it's our parking lot that they use,
Yeah.
but no, they haven't offered to help with that.
Okay. You think that's a possibility down the road to have them partner up with your city?
I think it's possible. You know, it was something we discussed a couple years ago, but it didn't really go any further than that.
Okay. In terms of the Greenway Connector, do you, has that gone a bid? How did you come up with the $575 cost?
Well, the $575 cost makes up the Greenway Connector and the parking lot improvements.
Okay.
So we have about 250 parking lot spaces. We did the first phase, as I mentioned, of the parking lot improvements were $175,000. So we did an engineer's estimate and takeoff based on this current plan, which is how we came up with the $575.
Have you, will the Greenway be made a permeable pavement?
Potentially. We have included a lot of brick pavers at the Coeliac Park, which we plan to incorporate into that, and there would be an option to use permeable pavers over there. We also plan on, using the best stormwater management practices as possible on the new parking lot improvements.
So the parking lot as well might have some permeable components, or the best way to manage stormwater?
Possibly bioretention, which is like larger rain gardens that are used at
Right.
parking lots. Because of all the extensive landscaping that will be put in, we'll have an opportunity to do that. So that way the water that is flowing off the parking lot will be filtered in those beds before it goes into the storm sewer system.
So why wasn't the parking lot made with permeable components to it?
We've looked at permeable pavements. I mean, one thing is the extensive cost and maintenance that's included. With a parking lot this size, permeable pavers are very expensive. We may triple our cost that we're looking at if we went permeable for the entire parking lot. And so that's one of the main reasons, and the maintenance and the success of permeable pavements in Northeast Ohio is, still been looked at in the industry recently, and its success, I don't know if it's been proven yet in Northeast Ohio for parking lot improvements.
For parking lot?
Correct.
And
I mean,
it
the
needs a
areas
lot of
off the
maintenance?
walkways and things like that,
Yeah.
there's definitely that possibility.
Because of all the cars going over it that runs them down and
Correct. The dirt, the snow and salt,
might go inside, yeah, okay.
and clog them, correct.
Plug, okay, thanks. Oh, and what's your time frame on this? What's your time frame for the project?
For the entire project?
For this part, you're looking to,
For this next phase, well, with the events coming up, we're going to have to phase the parking lot work. Besides just the events, the demand for that parking lot. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get it done in this next construction season, but we will have to, the contractor will have to phase the work and meet some performance requirements as far as keeping a certain number of parking spaces open at all time. The only thing that may extend that beyond this year would be, that construction time frame for the parking lot that it may require it to go into 2019.
thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Simon. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What are the numbers of visitors that come to the area? And from your presentation, I understand that you expect an increase. Do you have a sense of the numbers?
Yeah, I don't know throughout the year for actual events that we already do, for example, like a Grindstone Festival, which is over the 4th of July weekend. Just on fireworks night, we get about 8,000. And we do fit them in there now. In that case, they're also in the parking lot. At the amphitheater itself, Tony had the number of about 2,000. That's just in the immediate area that you saw, but if we expanded seating into the parking lot, we could get upwards of probably 5. So that's, for us, a significant number to get on Friday nights throughout the summer. That's what we anticipate. If I may, I wanted to go back to the one question about the library. I don't want to discount them. While they did not commit to any capital dollars, they have committed and already do programming at Coeliac. So throughout the summer, they have outdoor reading classes. They do theater type of classes. This year, they also brought in a petting zoo, and that's all at their expense. And that does draw a large crowd for us. And so they said they would continue and expand the programming that they do as well.
Will there be a need for increased hiring in any area as a result of the expansions and improvements?
I think the area will need some additional support would be in security. Our police generally cover the events that we do now, but they pretty much tap out our police force, which is less than 30 officers. So to do the Friday night concerts that we have in mind, and then in the future some other additional events, I don't think we can rely entirely on the current police force that we have. So we may have to bring in either neighboring communities, county sheriffs, or hire some additional auxiliaries perhaps. As far as programming goes, we probably will hire an additional person to do some marketing and planning of the events, because in addition to the concerts that we are planning for next year, we're in 2019 planning on doing some other events, like festival type of events. And I think we would need an additional person to help plan those.
And my last question is, the demolition of the property of the was it an apartment building or
A one-story former motel.
former motel?
We had used as office space for the last several years.
And that was done through county demolition dollars?
Correct. We received funding earlier this year, but we actually just got our contract and signed that, so we'll be doing the demo through that program.
What was the cost of the demolition for this project?
That was cost.
The request was 100,000. We anticipate it being a little less than that, but we'll be taking that building and the parking lot next to it out, and it'll be between $50,000 and $75,000.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Miller.
Mr. Chairman, and to Mayor and the team, congratulations on this very significant project. My question is after this phase, are there additional phases to come, and if so, what are they, and how are they going to be funded?
There is one additional phase that we're considering. The city owns a historic home next to our fire station, and the entire home is made out of Brea sandstone. I think the age of it is probably around the 1840s or 1850s, and we need to relocate that for one, to do an expansion to our fire station, and two, we would like to have it back at Coe Lake because that's where the stone came from to build the home. This home, besides its age and the material making it historic, the person who lived there in the 1800s was a pretty prominent person in the county. He was one of the first county commissioners, was a county sheriff, and was one of the original people on, I think, the first county fair board. And we didn't have it in our hearts to tear down that building because of the historic nature of it. It is in bad shape, but it can be restored, and what we would like to do is reassemble it at a location at Coe Lake and have it used for people when they come there, to give them a little history of the sandstone industry and the immigrants too, and others who worked at Coe Lake. That's a significant part. Berea has always had a large, diverse population of immigrants as well as African Americans for a West Side community. For example, Mount Zion Church, that's the oldest African American church in the entire West Side of Cuyahoga County, or even really the West Side of Cleveland, that's 100 years old. And they came, all the people came to work in the sandstone industry. And so we wanted this house to kind of be a testimony to that industry and that diversity that industry brought to our community. And that would be probably the last phase.
And about how much money would it cost to do that, and how do you plan to do it?
We anticipate that it would cost about $200,000 to $250,000 to do that. We've had a couple contractors look at it because of the condition that it's in now with sandstone outside structure. It wouldn't be possible to lift that house up and move it as you've seen done with other houses. We'd probably have to disassemble and reassemble it on site, which is why the cost is as significant as it is. We have an area that's near where it can go, that is near the, let me see if I can, is it possible that I could pull the PowerPoint back up? This might. It's a little difficult to see, but it's back in the background over here. You can see some, oh yeah, you don't see. So the area to the back of the site, you can see some green space back there. It's near the boardwalk that goes out towards over the lake. There's some green space over there where we'd have an opportunity to put the site, which on the other side of the lake is the Berea Historical Society. So there'd be some linkage between the use of this building along with the Berea Historical Society.
It would be about 50 feet north of that walkway to the library.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, I would just close with a comment that I've been long an advocate that the concept of placemaking should not be something we just do in the downtown Cleveland area, but should be done throughout the neighborhoods of Cuyahoga County. And this project fits very well with that concept, and I support the project and wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Mr. Gallagher?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I became aware of this project, I must admit I didn't know how much Berea had put into it. And with the site visit with Mr. Brady and myself, we're really kind of impressed as to exactly how much Berea has put in. The thing that I think that when we talk about casino dollars, initially we were talking about casino dollars, was use in the community, bringing the communities together, not just the individual community, but surrounding communities, connectivity with various amenities surrounding the site itself. And this reminded me very much of the Euclid project that is transformative for the city of Euclid on the lakefront. And having Co-Lake there and knowing people from my community and surrounding communities that fish there, picnic there, go to the library there, and in dealing with the libraries, as we know, the Cuyahoga County libraries will not participate with their dollars. We as communities build them, they maintain them, but we have to provide the parking and maintain that. They're kind of strapped, I understand that, and they don't like getting involved. I had a situation in Strongsville when we built our library, and I wanted a connectivity of the senior living that literally is within 150 to 200 feet of the new library, and I couldn't get them to participate in a walkway from our senior center, from our senior living on the square to the library. They just couldn't do it. They didn't want to set a precedent. This is interesting in that it not only connects the city of Berea and their downtown, their community center, it being involved with the police department, the city hall, the library, Baldwin Wallace University now. And what I think is particularly interesting is the connection, the direct connection with the metro parks. I don't think we're going to find a project in Cuyahoga County that does all of this. I hope we do. But for right now, I don't see anything out there that does exactly what this does. The city has put an immense amount of money into this. This, for all intent and purpose, is last money in. This finishes it. The home rebuild movement, rebuild is going to be on the city. That's for them to finish at their, at their leisure and when they can afford it. But I think when we put this whole thing together, we have something that we can be really proud of. And directing these dollars to this project will set a template, much like the Euclid project did, moving forward, of connecting the people to existing water sources within their communities. Not everybody is as blessed as Berea and Strongsville and Euclid and Cleveland. When you start moving to the outer rings in the suburbs, you don't have the water features that the inner ring in Cleveland does. And I think enhancing this is really going to go a long way in our future looking at projects to use these dollars on. So I would really enjoy the support of the committee moving this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. I appreciate your comments. Ms. Simon.
Thanks. I just have a question for staff. Thank you. That's a good plan. I'm supporting the project. Just a question about the money, what we have left, where we are on the fund.
So, all right, that is a difficult question to answer currently. We've got some outstanding projects that are not, and I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I can get that to you before the day is out.
Council has projects outstanding?
There are certain amounts of money that have not been expended just yet.
Okay.
And so we've got some deals that are funded by the funds from the casino revenue that have not been transferred to their intended recipients just yet. There are certain things that are still in the works regarding how repayment would happen for certain loans that are out, that
Okay.
are, yeah. So,
Okay,
but I can get you an
right.
exact number before the end of the day.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
I would also like to receive that information if I could.
Just get it to the clerk and have her get it to all the committee members. That'll be good. Any more questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. So, Mr. Gallagher, or just to the clerk, are we going to full 3 readings, or is there a need for to expedite this, or what?
In a situation like this, I think 3 readings is proper, and especially with the questions on the floor. Although I can assure the council members that the monies are available, it's just a matter of the totals. There are outstanding things, but there is sufficient funds in the fund to take care of this. But I don't think there's a necessity to move something that is this transformative on an emergency basis. So, Mr. Chairman, I would move Resolution 2017-0195 to the full council for second reading.
All right, and I agree with Mr. Gallagher that it is appropriate that we take this to a full 3 readings. And as the chair, I will second the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Item 0195 stands approved to send to the full council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tony. Thanks for the presentation. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing this Coal Lake transform completely. And hey, if this allowed Dante's to stay open and rolling, then I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I frequent the place often sometimes. So thank you again so much. I look forward to the project. We do have committees and miscellaneous business. Staff Representative Khalil Sarin will come up. He has some reading materials for us that was dropped off by a friend of the county, and he's going to give us a little bit of information and briefly talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to transmit some information from a man named Tom Beyer, who works at Cleveland State University. He has been the director of their Center for Housing Research and Policy at the Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs. After that, he was an executive in residence at the college, and currently he is a senior fellow at the Levin College. And he has recently written a book, short book. It's not too much in terms of a reading assignment, but he brought it over to council offices and requested that council staff share it with the council. So we've got several other copies as well for your colleagues, but since you were all here in the Community Development Committee meeting, I wanted to take the opportunity to present it. It is called Housing Dynamics in Northeast Ohio, Setting the Stage for Resurgence. This is a short book about how, where, and why people move in Northeast Ohio. This has special relevance for this committee and the county as we deal with our housing crises. And this also has to do, it also provides some information about what possibilities government has to intervene when there are problems to be solved, and what we might do policy-wise in order to minimize the amount of damage that the sort of changes in housing habits in Northeast Ohio can potentially cause. So I just wanted to present this book to you and read it at your leisure.
Great.
Let me know if you have any questions going forward.
I would like to have a book discussion on this in June. Sorry, our chair won't be here, but members of the committee can read it. I think that's enough lead time. I'll lead the discussion, or whoever's chair of the committee.
Sure.
Can we try that?
Thanks, Mrs. Serena. I'm interested to sit down and read the book, and I may come back for that discussion. Well, thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any other public comment?
No one has signed in.
All right. Well, this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all.